Right now at 6, breaking news. Crews battling a large house fire sending a plume of smoke into the air over San Francisco. Plus, air travelers already feeling the crunch of the nationwide flight cuts.
If they don't fix this shutdown, I think we're in big trouble.
And they're all pointing fingers at Washington.
Whatever a party affiliation, that they're not doing their job.
We're live from Bay Area airports with how passengers are dealing with the disruptions. Plus, a temporary ban on a certain type of business in East San Jose.
And if you throw a rock on the east side, you'll hit a smoke shop.
Why one city council member says it's time to crack down on tobacco shops in his district.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. We begin tonight with breaking news. Firefighters getting a handle on a challenging fire that was putting up a lot of smoke over San Francisco. We'll take a look right now. A live look on the scene happening on Montgomery Street near Vallejo in the Telegraph Hill neighborhood. Multiple crews and trucks are on the scene working from the roof of the building. This is video from when the fire first broke out just before 5. There you go. Flames bursting out of the front window of this top story unit. That's the roof there, that area. That's a live look there. And you can see from video taken just minutes ago how much the fire had grown. Firefighters there trying to get their ladders and attend to the fire. There's the thick black smoke. We just got word that the fire is out and there are no injuries, fortunately. The city has issued a warning for everyone to avoid this area if they can. But as you can see, it was quite a serious scene just moments ago. Back live now to pictures of the firefight. This is a very steep and narrow neighborhood, making things that much more difficult for crews to get a handle on. So you can see firefighters on the rooftop right now, a much different look from what it was just in the last hour. We just spoke with fire officials moments ago. Let's take a listen.
We're able to extinguish the fire and evacuate 2 cats. At this point, a primary search has been completed, and a secondary search. We don't have evidence of any victims inside the building. It's a very challenging building to fight fire in because, one, it's on a steep hill, and 2, the buildings are right next to each other. So we're very heavily concerned with fire extending laterally. So we're able to get in there and stop it relatively quickly.
They did knock that out relatively quickly. So again, no injuries, and we'll certainly continue to follow this throughout the night and bring you updates throughout the evening as well. All right, now to our other top story of the day and into the weekend. The government shutdown just got even more real for millions of U.S. travelers. Today, airlines started canceling hundreds of flights at 40 airports, including SFO and Oakland, in compliance with the FAA's orders. So the goal is to reduce the strain on air traffic controllers working unpaid during this shutdown. So the number of canceled flights will increase gradually over the next week. Today, it's at 4%. By next Friday, that's expected to rise to 10%, if not more. This morning, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said that if the government is still shut down, the number could jump to 20%. He explains what factors went into the decision.
We see more incursions on tarmacs throughout the country. And we have more complaints from pilots about stress from air traffic controllers and more complaints about the lack of responsiveness from controllers. So that data is going in the wrong direction, not in the right direction.
Duffy also said that international flights will not be impacted by reductions. So this is all ramping up less than 3 weeks before Thanksgiving and the start of the holiday travel season. What timing? We've got team coverage across the Bay Area on how the cuts are creating a crunch for travelers. Let's start with Brad Hamilton, who found some pretty stressed out travelers at SFO. Hey, Brad.
Yes, Juliette, unfortunately, the madness has begun here at SFO. Delayed flights, canceled flights, even a ground stop led to plenty of frustration and confusion here. And as the shutdown continues, it appears so do days like this at the airport. Now, this all started, officials say, early this morning as they had that ground stop for incoming flights. That happened for about an hour due to a shortage of staffing. By early afternoon, operations here remain strained. As of noon, 47 flights had been canceled, 119 flights had been delayed. Average wait times were around 45 minutes, mostly on those short-haul West Coast routes. Some folks we spoke with didn't know if they'd ever make it back home here to San Francisco. Others were worried about how they would get home after a vacation here.
You know, checking the flights every couple of days, and they kept saying Friday, Friday. It's all gonna explode on Friday. And we're like, we're leaving at 9 a.m. Friday. Are we going to get in the cutoff? And it was totally fine.
Well, they just said we're going back to the gate to put some new people on the plane, which I've never had happen. And then I see it looks like pilots. And I'm assuming they're taking them here to get onto other planes because they said they had trouble with staffing. We were waiting for one staff person as we left.
If you have some upcoming plans here at SFO, officials are telling people, please check those airliner apps as much as you possibly can to make sure your flight status is correct. And when you get here, get to your gate early. Make sure to check in. Just make sure everything is smooth.
Yeah, hopefully it is smooth. All right, Brad, great advice. Thanks so much. You know, there was less stress for passengers across the bay, but people still ran into some delays and even cancellations. Da Lin joining us live from Oakland now with more on that. Da, how's it looking there?
Looking pretty good, Juliet. Despite the flight disruptions, Oakland International looks pretty normal today. Not the kind of chaos we're seeing at other major airports. Check out the big board. The spokesperson says 9 cancellations today and double that in delays. 18 flights running about 30 minutes behind or longer. Many passengers arriving at OAK happy and upbeat. But some dealt with a major headache getting here, including Julia Verga.
We checked in for our flights 24 hours prior. Within 30 minutes, they said that they were canceled and that they would rebook us, but ultimately we just rebooked ourselves, hopped onto another flight, and it seems like most of those flights were getting canceled out of San Diego.
Julia and her friends are meeting others in the Bay Area for an event, an apparently similar experience.
We had a friend who was flying here from LA, their flight got canceled. A friend from Portland, their flight got canceled. Everyone's eventually making it, but yeah, it's been a mission. We have probably like 10 different people coming, and like almost everyone's had a flight get canceled.
Helicopter 77.
The FAA says the flight reductions are about public safety. Air traffic controllers have been working under huge stress.
958 will be ready for departure 1 month.
No pay in a month, and some are now picking up part-time jobs to get by.
Applause to them, you know, for going the extra mile or extra 5 miles.
Renee Rungus experienced a minor delay out of Reno. She's heading to Honolulu this weekend and hopes her flight doesn't get canceled.
A lot of us are very disillusioned with our congressional representatives, wherever they may be from, and whatever a party affiliation, that they're not doing their job.
As for Julia, it wasn't just flight problems. The shutdown has hit her in other ways too.
I have had my EBT, SNAP benefits being used or not accessible and stuff like that, so that was a big part of the government shutdown that affected me as well.
She doesn't fly often, so a bummer. The one trip she took came with a lot of disruptions. She just hopes the return flight plays a smoother tune than the one that got her here.
5 p.m. Sunday, we're hoping for the very best and that nothing changes.
And here's a live look at the TSA security checkpoint. Very light. It's been like this for the most part today. Easy, manageable. Check out the baggage claim area. Again, very little activity. That is Friday light for a lot of folks. I did talk to a TSA agent off camera, and she says she would like to talk on camera to chew out the congressional members, but she will lose her job. She did tell me off camera it's been very tough without pay, and her family is stressing out. We hope them well. So for now, live here in Oakland, I'll send it back to you, Julia.
Yeah, Da, you wonder if people just automatically canceled their flights to avoid long lines, because that is definitely a quiet Oakland International Airport. But we'll see this weekend and into next week as well. All right. Thanks, Da. Appreciate it.
For sure.
All right, San Jose Mineta Airport was not on the list of airports impacted by the FAA's mandatory flight reductions. We heard from travelers like Angel and his wife Mari, who arrived at SJC. They were originally supposed to land at SFO. They told us about their experience.
It wasn't that crazy. We've seen all over the news and things like that. There's been cancellations, but luckily we didn't get nothing that bad, so it was pretty good.
There was about 4 flights of the day, but only 3 left. They did cancel 1 coming here. So we were supposed to go to SFO, but we came to San Jose instead.
Meantime, in the nation's capital, senators plan to keep working through the weekend to try and end this shutdown. Today, Senate Republicans rejected the latest offer from Democrats. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said his party would vote for a funding bill in exchange for a 1-year extension of health care tax credits. The Senate also failed today to pass a bill to pay federal employees working during the shutdown. The Trump administration is asking the Supreme Court to step in and overrule a court order requiring it to fully fund SNAP benefits for 42 million Americans this month. The request to the High Court came almost immediately after an appeals court denied a similar one. Meantime, the White House said it will comply with the original order to deliver the benefits by the end of today. Governor Newsom's office says Californians are already starting to see their benefits fully restored to their EBT cards. All right, to the East Bay now. There is a special effort to make sure students don't go hungry because of all of this. The city of Emeryville held a food drive today. It is focused on helping students in the Emeryville School District who are not receiving SNAP benefits. Officials say at least 200 students and their families are impacted by the suspension of benefits.
And we want to make certain that hunger is not a barrier to these students' success. Successful school communities certainly make for a successful community. So that's why it's really important that we partner with our school districts to make sure that our students that are going to school in the city of Emeryville can be successful. They do not have to choose between focusing on their studies or focusing on hunger.
There are several drop-off locations around the city, one at City Hall, another at the Emeryville Police Department, and at Alameda County Fire Stations 34 and 35. Donated food items are expected to be distributed the weekend after November 14th. And we invite you to help your neighbors in need through our annual Food for Bay Area Families program. For more information on how you can donate to local food banks or become a volunteer, just scan the QR code on your screen. You can also head to kpix.com/give. Still ahead here at 6, why San Jose officials and some community leaders are celebrating a temporary ban on new smoke shops on the city's east side.
It gives a very strong message that this line of business is not welcomed in a community.
Plus, new connections in Chinatown. We're going to break down the timeline of free Wi-Fi expanding across one of San Francisco's most famous neighborhoods. Let's take another live look at the aftermath of an apartment fire that broke out earlier this evening in San Francisco near Telegraph Hill. So this is on Montgomery Street near Vallejo. Crews managed to knock it down before it spread to any of the neighboring buildings, despite facing some challenges working on a steep hill with buildings close to one another. No one was hurt and 2 cats were rescued. Police in Fremont have released a picture of a dog they think is responsible for attacking and killing another dog at a local dog park. So take a look. Officials say on October 23rd at Central Park near Lake Elizabeth, this dog was off leash and attacked a smaller dog while it was being walked by its owner on leash. They can't confirm the exact breed, but believe it to be some kind of cane corso or pit bull. Anyone who may recognize the dog or the people walking in that photo there, they are asked to contact Fremont Police. The San Jose City Council voted unanimously this week to put a temporary ban on any new smoke or tobacco shops opening up in the city as they work to come up with a long-term plan to try and better regulate the industry. Kara St. Cyr has more on what sparked this moratorium and how locals are reacting.
Hello.
Dolores Alvarado loves East San Jose.
This is a great part of the shopping center with all the fresh foods.
But the part she doesn't like is the growing number of smoke shops popping up in District 5.
We're in an area where within a mile you have over 10 smoke shop outlets.
The 2025 Santa Clara Latino Health Assessment showed that East San Jose has the highest density of tobacco and alcohol stores in the valley, averaging more than 6 retailers per square mile.
It's really scary.
Dolores, who's the executive director of Community Health Partnership, says the shops are too accessible to teens.
And if you throw a rock on the east side, you'll hit a smoke shop.
Peter Ortiz, city councilman for District 5, agrees. His solution? Preventing more shops from opening in his district altogether.
The moratorium will only impact new businesses that are hoping to open.
Ortiz's moratorium would last 45 days until city council members pass new regulations to rein in tobacco sales. Shops already in business can still operate, but Ortiz says a crackdown is coming.
It's both to regulate the over-concentration of these shops, but also to put an end to what we're seeing as a new black market forming on the east side of San Jose.
The moratorium is part of a larger crackdown on tobacco sales in San Jose. In 2022, the city banned the sale of flavored products, and in August, the city raided 4 shops for selling nitrous oxide and cannabis products without a permit.
It gives a very strong message that this line of business is not welcomed in a community.
For Dolores, new regulations can't come fast enough for the city she loves.
Now, we reached out to 7 tobacco shops in District 5. None of the owners wanted to go on camera, but all of them told us they would comply with any new regulations. San Francisco is expanding its free public Wi-Fi network to Chinatown. It is now available at the Dragon's Gate at St. Mary's Square and along Grant Avenue between Broadway and Pacific Avenue. That means hundreds of homes in the area and visitors will now have access to the city network. Mayor Daniel Lurie says it's about equity and making resources accessible. The city plans to get the rest of the neighborhood connected through the next year.
Coming up in the First Alert forecast, after what is going to be a wonderful weekend, if you like it near 80 and plenty of sunshine, you're going to love this weekend. There'll be some clouds, but the overwhelming theme is going to be warm and no rain. Next week's got some questions on it. We're keeping an eye out here on this possibility of this cutoff low trying to get its act together and bring us rain, and it looks like it will do that. But timing it and talking about amounts, that's where the complications come in. We're going to show you what the latest thinking is on this. Coming up after the break. Well, taking a look outside right now, and when you do that, it's relatively clear there. But look at the time lapse of the last few hours. Unmistakable, kind of needs to be addressed. We had a gorgeous display of like summer weather in terms of the marine layer coming in through the Golden Gate. It was the last few hours before we got sunset. It won't necessarily be like that again tomorrow. The theme of this weekend is we're warming up. So let's just take a look at the map for a second. This is Saturday, and these numbers are in the upper 70s for the most part. But let's say goodbye to tomorrow's numbers, because I think the more impressive numbers is actually going to be what happens when we get to Sunday. And we put those color contours on and then put the numbers on here. Now you're looking at temperatures inland that are going to the low 80s. San Francisco on Sunday is going to be in the mid 70s. So we're going to be holding on to this warmth for a little while here, because it's not just Saturday and Sunday. These numbers are going to hold on through Monday and Tuesday as well. You're not going to notice much difference. And then you will notice a difference, because as we get towards the middle of next week, we've got an issue with a system that's going to try and bring us some rain. And this is what we're going to do our best now to get specific on, at least for where the forecast stands at the moment. We're going to bring the rain forward, and what you're going to see develop by the time we get to Monday, so there's our timestamp. We just went all the way through the weekend. Nothing's happening over us. But all the while, this is the very beginnings of a system that will wind itself up into a cutoff low. Watch the timestamp tick forward for 2 days, and that thing just sits there and spins almost stationary for 2 days. That's cutoff low. Cutoff lows are notoriously difficult to forecast. What do we mean exactly when we say a cutoff low? Well, here's what we were just looking at, right? Our little area of low pressure. That's where it'll be through the weekend, and you'd see that and go, well, that's a low pressure like any other area of low pressure, and in one sense, sure. But this is the storm track. And that storm track is going to be racing across the northern part of the continent and then diving down into the midsection of the country, delivering a cold blast of air, some of the coldest temperatures since March, are about to spill out of Canada along this much more impressive part of what is the storm track. Ours is cut off from that. It wound itself up so tightly, it cut itself off, and now there's nothing to move it along. It's just going to kind of sit there for 2 days and wobble, and then the question is, what's it going to look like when it finally comes on shore? And that should happen by the middle of next week. That looked kind of messy, and that was one forecast model's depiction of some rain for the second half of next week as that system finally does come on shore. Let's get a little more into the details by looking at the other forecast model, which is a little more impressed with this system's ability to bring us rain. So I'll show you that. So this is late Wednesday. Some showers come into the North Bay. Thursday, we see some more rain come through. None of this looks super heavy, but it does look like a chance of rain from Wednesday, Thursday, and then it just gets messy in the forecast model. It shows another area of low pressure comes up. That one gives us some rain, and then another one comes in on its heels. This is getting a little ridiculous. It's not going to go that way. This is what forecast models look like when they're trying to resolve a cutoff low, because you've removed one of the primary elements that a forecast uses, which is tracking that storm track as it stretches across the northern hemisphere. We don't have that with this one. What we do have, though, is the likelihood that we are going to be getting some rain out of it. So what we do is we'll wait, give this till early next week, where we're going to start putting some specific numbers on it, and we will be able to do that as we get towards like Monday and Tuesday. And by numbers, I mean timing, different rain bands, because it won't rain Wednesday night through Saturday. But there's going to be a chance of rain at this point just about each one of those days through that time period. And we'll put it in a 7-day forecast. You see what I mean. We'll start out with our inland microclimate. Not to be overlooked in this long discussion of the chance for rain next week is your weekend. We are going to have some low clouds tomorrow morning when you wake up, but you'll get more sunshine in the afternoon, and you're going to be in the upper 70s Sunday, right on the verge of 80 on Monday, and then you can see what happens next week as that system comes through. Not only do we get a chance of rain, but daytime highs are going to go down into the mid-60s, and the numbers for the Bay tell the same story. Keep in mind, this Sunday and Monday, in general, mid to upper 70s. San Francisco is going to be in the mid-70s there. It's going to be a pretty nice 4-day stretch of weather. More on the rain later. Juliet, back to you.
All right, thanks so much. And when we come back, we have new details about a San Francisco institution's long-awaited reopening after half a decade. Let's go back out live to Telegraph Hill in San Francisco. This is where crews are still on the scene of a building fire that broke out earlier in the evening on Montgomery Street near Vallejo. Well, fortunately, as you can see, the fire is out. Now, this is what it looked like earlier. You can see those flames. Look at that heavy smoke pouring from the front windows of this top story unit. Crews attacked it from both the ground and the roof. They managed to knock it down relatively quickly, despite the steep and narrow roads in that neighborhood. Fire department officials telling us that no one was home at the time, no one was hurt, and they did rescue 2 cats. We also spoke to some downstairs neighbors about what it was like.
We don't really know how bad the damage is for us yet. I know they were working on the electric in the building today, so that could have been a cause. We don't.
Fire officials still working to determine a cause. They're asking people to avoid that area. All right, San Francisco's legendary Cliff House set to reopen to the public sometime next summer, and it will get to keep its name. The Cliff House, it dates back to 1863. Failed lease negotiations with the national parks and the COVID-19 pandemic forced it to close in 2020. Well, according to the Chronicle, the site's previous operators have donated all of their trademarks to the Western Neighborhoods Projects. It's a nonprofit that preserves the history of the area. As for what's next, the new operator plans to open 4 food businesses in the oceanfront property. Can't wait to return to the Cliff House. Until then, CBS Evening News is next. We'll see you at 7 o'clock with more local news. Thanks for joining us. Okay. I was like, wow, the words are...